Cultural Canvas, Episode 3. Topic of the week, eSports, otherwise known as competitive gaming. I want to make note that there was error at the beginning of the podcast referring to Ricardo's university as St. Peter's Prep. That was an error on my part, and I apologize. All right, so we are recording now. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Jakai Grayson. Welcome to the third episode of Cultural Canvas. This week, we'll be talking about pro gaming culture, and today we have the lovely guest, Ricardo. Now, Ricardo is a professional gamer at St. Peter's Prep. If you guys didn't know that there are esports teams at college, well, it's moving up and it's getting better and better each day. So how you doing, Ricardo?
I am doing good. How are you?
Can't complain. Can't complain on my end. It's a little bit hot. We had a heat wave yesterday, but that's
Past three
kind of the
days
weather
we
I
have.
past 3 days, man. But this is the weather I thrive in. I love the summer. So
How are you doing
that's
under COVID?
quarantine it's been getting better and better each day. I think when I got home it was kind of a matter of what am I gonna do? Because I don't like being stuck indoors. But slowly but surely, we found things to work on. One of them being this podcast, of course. But I also do a lot of other activities. Every day I kind of have to make sure my dog's all right. Do jump rope every now and again, and just trying to find new hobbies to keep me active. What about you, man? What have you been doing under this quarantine?
All this time I just got my surgery. I've been relaxing, playing video games casually for now until the season starts back up again for esports. And yeah, that's
Gotcha.
pretty much it.
So what games have you been playing?
The only games I've been playing lately is Monster Hunter. Lately, I've had over 600 hours on it because I find it
Dang.
very addicting. And it's a
Oh,
good way, it's a good game to pass the time.
all right, man.
Yeah.
All right. What about Animal Crossing? Did you ever get into Animal Crossing?
Yes, I have. I got into Animal Crossing just for a little bit, and then, it slowly died down until I got Monster Hunter for my computer. So that's all I've been playing recently. It takes a long time to kill the monsters. 20 to 30 minutes is a long time.
All right, man. I mean, that's cool. I'm glad you've been active. I'm glad you've been able to stay happy despite, lockdowns and everything and all the crazy stuff going on in the world. I'm glad you've been all right, and I'm glad your family's been all right. Now, in regards to the topic of this week, we're going to be talking about pro gaming, esports, things of that sorts. Now, for a lot of people, people our age kind of grew up with video games. So we kind of have a foundation of what esports is. But a lot of people, especially maybe, older generations, may be confused as to what esports and pro gaming is and what that culture consists of. So this is kind of the startup question. So what is pro gaming culture to you? Like, what do you think of it?
I think of it as a way to, how do you say, escape reality because you get to surround yourselves with people that you play video games with, and that takes a good amount of your time. And you wonder where the time goes because you've been spending a lot of time with other people.
Oh,
Um, Pro gaming to me is like, eh, it's just every other game. You play video games with your friends. Eventually, it's gonna get competitive because everyone wants to win in the end. And yes, that's what it is to me.
gotcha, man. Gotcha. That's dope. I know, because we went to the same high school, and I think a lot
Hmm.
of people have kind of noticed the similar themes in the past couple of guests that we all kind of went to the same high school. But I know that you also played basketball, and you kind of were able to build a friend group through that. But you at the same time, you were also able to build a friend group by playing video games. So you've been able to do sports, and you've also been able to be a part of like two different groups of people. So how does that kind of feel, because normally, just because of how the media plays it out, we kind of don't put, well, the quote unquote jocks and nerds together, and they kind of are on opposite ends of the spectrum. thankfully that's no longer the case, and we're slowly moving out of that superstition, I guess, for lack of a better word. But how was it? Did you ever were you able to kind of be yourself with both groups? Did you ever feel the need to kind of or ever thought about changing yourself? What was that like?
Wherever I go, I always say I'm gonna be the same person, no matter what. If it's like a
Mm,
specific friend group, I'm gonna be the same. If it's my nerd group, I'm definitely gonna be the same. So wherever I go, I am the same person that you see me today.
okay. All right. And what got you into gaming, especially with all of your other hobbies that you grew up with? Like, why was gaming something that kind of stood out to you the most?
Well, back when I was very little, I used to go back when I was little, when somebody used to babysit me, I always went down to my cousin's basement and played a Nintendo 64. And that's where I started playing video games as a kid. I started playing Super Mario 64 and then upgrade upgrade into Super Smash Brothers, which I find very fun. Because of course,
Mm.
it's all the Nintendo characters that you grew up with, and then you're just fighting with your favorite characters.
Oh, all right. I mean, growing up as a Nintendo head too, like I can appreciate that. And when did you kind of move on? Because you said Nintendo 64. So what games were you playing back on? What other games were you playing on the Nintendo 64? And how did you kind of like spread out to other, consoles and other companies like Xbox and PlayStation and all that?
Well, I grew up around a lot of friends that had different consoles, so that's how I spread it. That's how I spread it, you know? That's how I grew out of the Nintendo. I still play it to this day,
Mm,
and I'll play the same games as I do equally, you know?
all right. And when you were growing up, what were kind of your favorite games? And this is like for all consoles, whether that be Nintendo, PS4, Xbox One, whatever it may be.
Um, my favorite games were Super Smash Brothers because
Mm,
it, of course, it has a huge effect on the community today, as we know. Um, Team Fortress 2, it's a portable computer game, PC, at known, and I spent over thousands of hours on it playing with the team when I was a little kid throughout middle school. It was
uh,
very fun. It was very fun. All the laughs and you know, all the times we faced. And,
got you.
and a little bit of, retro gaming such as Fatal Fury.
Oh, all right. All right. You mentioned Team Fortress 2. I tried to get into it. I think I tried my best to main Scout and the Spy. Those did not work out. What were the characters you mained?
The only person that I mained is the Scout, and which I have over 500 plus hours on him.
Ah,
So I
man.
was I was basically a one trick.
Okay. I mean, but that's a good trick though. It worked out in the end. Like,
Yeah.
and one thing about Team Fortress is that it's a Steam. Steam is an online platform where you can get games. A lot of the games have voice chat nowadays and everything. So one thing about online gaming is that it has allowed us to kind of branch out and meet people from different ends of the world and different walks of life. How was that? Like when you first were starting, when did you kind of start meeting people online, and when was it something that you kind of enjoyed? Like what were some of your like favorite things about that or favorite memories about it? And what were some things that you didn't like as much?
Um, when I started branching out to other people, it all started in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, for
Mm,
example. I've met I met a person from England,
yeah.
Brazil, and it's pretty nice because you get to know what their culture is, what time it is over there, and it's very different from what we are here today in, New Jersey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's no bad things. I just enjoyed spending time with them because, they were awesome, they were cool, they were nice, and I
Mhm.
mostly enjoyed spending my time with them as a little kid.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I know you, I know you are on the esports team. How was it to kind of really like? What was it like to get on the team? Because I know that with other sports you kind of have tryouts. Was it the same way with the esports team at St. Peter's, or is there a much different process that you guys kind of have to go about?
Obviously, before starting, obviously before joining a team, you would have to host a tryout. And with
Mm,
those tryouts come great people, neutral people, and that's
yeah,
how it would
the
go.
others. Uh,
I when I first tried out for the St. Peter's team, I was scared because I saw a lot of people, and you know me, I'm very shy, and you have to nudge me in order to greet you. And yeah, I first started and the Smash tryout. The coach came in. I was scared. That made me sweat profusely a bit, and then I just had to put on a show, and everybody liked me, and
all right. So it worked out in the end.
yeah, it worked out in the end. It
Oh,
very much worked out.
all right. I know that, when I think of a coach, the first thing that comes to my mind is like a middle-aged dude, probably balding, probably a little bit out of shape here and there. Yeah, it's not, it ain't, it may not always be a pleasant appearance. But with esports is such a new thing, and it's really just something that not a lot of like middle-aged people really grew up with. There weren't
Yes.
tournaments back in 70s, 80s were much different than the ones we have now. So what's your coach like? I mean, is he somebody that's, excuse me, is he somebody that's more, young, like a young guy, or like what is he like? What's he like?
He is a young guy. He's a young guy. This is our second year in St. Peter's that are having an esports team. Um,
Mm,
he's very young. He's very generous. He's very nice, and he also plays games with his other students. And
mm,
he's also a teacher for another for North Bergen school.
mm.
He's very kind. He treats everyone like a family, and he accepts us as a whole.
All right. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I've seen you like play because we used to have a video game club back in high school, and you actually won a Smash Bros tournament. So, at what point when it came to gaming, did you ever think to yourself, "This is something that I kind of want to continue doing, not just for leisure, but also to, competitively?" And what is your future looking like in regards to esports as a whole? Is it something that you want to do full time? Is that the dream, or is it something that's more so to the side?
To be fair, I didn't win the Smash Brothers tournament. I ended up third place, which is fine.
uh
That's fine.
yeah.
Um, when I feel like it's a new step towards the future, and esports is slightly becoming popular now.
Mm,
I mean, when you think of esports, you think of that Fortnite, the Fortnite tournament that happened 1 year ago when a 16-year-old kid won billions of dollars just by winning a tournament.
mm,
And I feel like, hey, that's something I can do, find a job
yeah.
and find a job that you will never have to work ever again. So you basically enjoy it.
All right.
I enjoy
And
video games. I enjoy what I do. I feel like this is it's a dream job. It's a dream job for now. It's a dream job. I
okay.
would like to pursue it. I would like
And
to
do you
pursue.
want to be like, because I know, like I said, I don't follow a lot of esports, but I do know that there are like teams. So you got FaZe, and they're pretty well known, especially because of YouTube. So for you, I know that you're only a part of esports at St. Peter's as of now, but if you were to kind of branch out to, form your own team, or even join a team, like And actually, let's get into joining a team. If you could join like any esports team, like which one would you, and why would it be them?
I would say Cloud9 because if you look at their sponsorships, they're sponsored by a lot of stuff and also with good healthcare, you know, good healthcare
Okay.
insurance. And they have a lot of sponsorships that I like. Um, I remember me and my friend Cuffy was talking about it, and I basically forgot what the endorsements were.
Mm,
But they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
all right. Well, hey, they provide healthcare. That's already better than a lot of 9 to 5 jobs. So I respect that. And I mean, actually going on sponsorships, like what would be like your dream sponsor, Like cuz I know G Fuel's a pretty big name in like the esports scene, but is there anybody else in particular that you would want to sponsor you, and kind of why would it be that brand?
I would consider Omen because I have a laptop of it and it still works to this day and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty powerful and I love playing my video games on it. Yeah, that would be it. Plus they have
Oh,
awesome computers, laptops, and other things that they might work with.
gotcha. Gotcha. I mean, hey, if you get sponsored by a computer company, get a free computer, do your thing, man. Do your thing. That's all. That's all you can really do out here. But in regards to you know, St. Peter's, that's a college, and that's your team, and that's the team, and that's the college you play for. So how do you guys kind of get your name out there? Obviously by winning, of course. I mean, that's
I
like the
wouldn't say
number.
by
That's
winning. I wouldn't say by
mm,
winning. Winning or losing are the same thing.
yeah.
Obviously, it's a 50-50 chance that you might win, you might lose, but in my eyes, I just find it fun. Win or lose,
Okay.
I find it fun
All
because
right.
I get to play the person, they get to play me, I get to play them. It's fun. You get to develop different play styles. You get to learn from your opponent, learn their movements, attacks. And you just have to adapt to it. To get ourselves out there, we kind of started with the EGFC, and that's basically we go live against other
Mm,
colleges. And as you see, as the video I linked you a couple days ago, I was facing
yeah.
Niagara University, and
Mm,
I ended up like making a huge milestone on YouTube just by not
yeah.
getting hit in a single Super Smash Brothers game.
That's awesome.
I remember that day, like, I don't know, I just stopped listening to everybody and I just went in the gamer zone.
Mm.
And then all I heard was my friends just scream in the background. And then I just blinked. I said, "What happened? What happened?" I was in the gamer zone.
So you didn't even notice. It was
I
kind of
didn't notice. It's like I went brain dead for a second, so I was like, I'm just playing," and then that just happens. And all I just hear is my teammates screaming, my coach screaming, slapping the back of my chair, getting me hyped up.
yeah.
And I can still hear the screams to this day. It's just funny to remember that.
Actually, let's talk about the gamer mode, man, because we all have periods where we zone out. For you, it's esports. For me, it's in class. So we both have different ways of going about it. But for you, when you do it, you're just wrecking. You're just wrecking people on the field and in the game. So how is it? Like, was that something that's always been there? Like when you were a kid, would somebody have to scream your name 5 times before you to come down, um if you were playing a game, or was it something that, excuse me, slowly developed as you became more professional, and you kind of, or does it depend on what the game is? Does it depend on if it's a leisure game or if it's a game where something is on the line? Like, how does it work for you?
Well, for me, when I was a little kid, like I said, back in when I used to play the Nintendo 64 with my cousin, he would always beat me, and I would always say, I will get better than you, and I will
Mm,
develop as time goes on. And he still beats me to this day. He's better than me, and
okay.
I aim to like, you know, get surpass him.
Mm,
And as years go on, you start to know like, hey, this is what you do every day. This is what you know. Think of it as muscle memory. The more you
okay.
do it, the more you get used to it.
All right. All right. And what made you kind of like, because I know you have so many different things going on in your life. So you have to, I know you work out, I know you play ball, I know you do esports. So how do you find the balance and all that? And especially because, like you said, you're off season right now. Your in season is also during your
School,
semester. And
yes.
yeah. So being in college, I mean, especially in your first year where you're kind of adjusting and everything, that's a pretty big transition. So not only are you working on transitioning into college, but you're also, transitioning into an esports league. So you're going through a lot of things. How did you kind of find the balance in all of that? If you did,
As
like,
my
what
mother,
was? Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
I'm sorry. As my mother once said, there's a time and a place for everything,
Mm,
and that's what I go by. You can. There's always a time to balance out. There's always a time. School first,
yeah,
then your hobbies later.
gotcha. And how did you so what does like training look like? I mean, other than playing the games that you guys are preparing for, like what do you guys how do you guys prep other than, staring at the screen and, constantly playing? And also, when you guys cuz obviously it's more than training, you guys have recovery, or at least I would assume so. So what do you guys do to recover? And overall, what is that whole team like being a part of that team kind of like, I guess?
Being a part of a team is very great. You get to meet different people, and you know me, like I said before, if you nudge me, I get to greet you. We get to
Mm,
become good friends and everything.
yeah.
Like today, right now, Jakai, we are very great friends, long
Mm,
friends. We've been through a lot together. Yeah, it's
yeah.
been very great. You know, I accept them as a family. They are my brothers. They're very nice people. Training is like any other sports. You do scrimmages with your friends, and then that's it really. And then you will kind of limit yourself depending on what game you're playing, such as Overwatch. You play different heroes that you're not used to, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to get the gist of it.
Okay. What are like some of the big name games that you guys play? You mentioned Smash, you mentioned Overwatch. What other games do you play and kind of what format do you guys play on? Do you guys play PC? Is it Xbox or does it vary depending on what that game is?
It would vary depending on what that game is, because some people are more into PlayStation, some people are more into Xbox, you know?
Mm,
I play every other game, when I have the time. Um,
okay.
we play Smash, we play Overwatch, we play League of Legends, we play Rainbow Six, and
Mm,
with this new semester coming up, there's this new game that by Riot Games. It's called Valorant, and
yeah.
our coach hopes to make a team one day. And yeah, other than that,
Awesome.
it's very great. I'm just
Awesome.
excited. I just can't wait. I just can't wait till COVID's over.
Actually, speaking of, because you've had more time to kind of be in the house, um, what did it allow you? Did it allow you to get more time to kind of practice? Like I said, were you on off season when COVID began, or was it, or
We
when the
were off.
lockdowns began?
We were off
Mhm.
season as soon as COVID just started.
Okay.
We had to like cancel everything because um on March from the last semester, we were supposed to go to Atlantic City and participate in a tournament that held New Jersey colleges, and then we would go live, and
Yeah.
and I was excited for that day because I started packing up. It was gonna be my second road trip, and I will get to
Mm.
my first road trip in a second. Um, when I was done, when I was done packing up and I was about to leave, my coach texted me saying we can't go because they canceled due to COVID. I was so sad that day because I've always wanted to go to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
I wanted to meet the other colleges, the other students, see what they're like, get to know them. Because every from where we live right now, it's very different from any other place,
Yeah.
and it's kind of exciting to meet different people that you play against. That's
Yeah.
what I like.
Well, what's it called? I'm happy. Well, I'm happy that you kind of have found enjoyment in esports. But I'll be honest with you, when it comes to Atlantic City, it's not that special. Granted, the people you're around, can obviously make a difference. But Atlantic City is really just 90%. It's 95% casinos, bro. I've been there. That's like my second home. And if I'm being honest with you, I really don't like going there anymore. It's so boring.
Well, for me, it's first time for everything, because
Got you,
I
got
have
you.
an I have an overprotective mother that won't let me go anywhere. Now let me get on to this the first road trip. This first road trip took us 6 hours to get to a college, and
Mm,
it was long. The road was long. It was 30 minutes away from the Canadian border. The college that we went to is Paul Smith's College.
yeah.
Beautiful college, beautiful lake, beautiful scenery,
Mm,
and I remember just like you, as soon as we got there, we laid in the dorms, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's our first road trip. I'm very excited.
yeah.
Very excited. So I get to meet all the other students. Of course, we arrived at like 1 o'clock at night, and you know, so I had to sleep in, wake up, walk around the campus a bit, enjoy the view. And I
Mm,
saw some people like fishing on the ice, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. First time for everything. The students were the other people were very nice. It's
mm,
like what a difference it is from New Jersey than other other locations that you haven't been through. Like everyone's different. Everyone's
yeah,
different in their own way. They're very
yeah.
nice.
Actually, going off of that, both being in esports and just, playing online, you've been able to talk to a lot of different people. And as we said, from different parts of the world. Has there ever been, a culture that you learned about, or was there ever like a specific example of something you didn't know about a specific place, a specific, person or culture? Like, do you got any stories about that?
No, I don't have any stories about it. I've just gone along, have a nice small chat with them, and
Mm,
that's it.
oh, all right, man. All right. In regards to online and just playing games in general, what have been your influences? I know you've mentioned, your cousin and how you always wanted to beat him, but what are other influences that you've had that have made you want to be like a better gamer? Or is it just the competitive drive that you kind of already have?
Like when you think about it in regards, well, I will relate this into sports wise. You want to do the same thing as the professional players are doing. You want to try to mimic their game into your game.
Mm,
You want to develop your own play style. You want to develop your own way of thinking.
yeah.
That's what I think of my influences. Like, I just thought of my cousin, the way that he adapts, the way, he develops to his own play style, and that's what it defines him as a person, as my, idol.
Okay. All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. But like in regards to professional players that you have, that you watch or that you enjoy watching, are there any their play styles? because your style kind of becomes a collection of the styles that you have watched and that you have observed, and they kind of become your own thing. You kind of turn it into your own thing, put a twist on what they may have been doing. So, have you found yourself kind of doing that, or is there any specific professional, or even if it isn't a professional, is there anybody that you've seen that you played against that you kind of wanted to adapt their style into your own? Like again, we mentioned your cousin, but is there anybody else or not so
Um,
much?
professional players wise, I would say from a Super Smash Brothers community, Ally,
Mm,
Zero, Nairo. Uh, those three I just grew up with. Um,
mm,
just watching Smash Brothers videos. And
okay.
the first person I played in Smash was Mario, of course, because of course he was my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. All right. And what other cultures are you a part of? You know, like I know we've talked about pro game. I know we talked about influences and your stories of being a part of esports. But what other cultures are you a part of, and do they tie back to how you act or how you do things in esports, or do you keep all of them kind of separate or separated?
I keep them separated because I want to treat them like as their own. I want to treat them as
Mm,
their own. Like for example, basketball. The basketball culture. Basketball and esports are different things, so they're their own way of originality.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's kind of interesting. A while back or a couple years ago, somebody told me that we all like life is almost like a performance. So we all have different roles depending on the scene and the act and all that. So how I act with you, as a friend is not
Hmm.
how I act with like family. So we kind of all play different parts depending on what scene or what that play is at that given point in time. So do you kind of look at it like that? And then is that why you keep it separated? Because you just kind of want everything to be so different from each other? Because at the end of the day, no matter what role you play, you still always want your role. You still want whatever role you're playing to still be you, you know?
Yes.
So do you still so do you just keep them separated just because it's a preferable and it's easy to manage? Or is it more so something where it's like I'll give you an example for me. I've grown a lot from not just this internship, but being in college in general.
Mm.
So the way that I've acted in high school or with my high school friends may not be how I act towards people in college. And because in my opinion, they're two different worlds. They're two different worlds. They're the high school friends that I see here and I still love, but I also got the ones in college that I still love too. And they both see they see different aspects of me, but it's still me. It's just how I choose. It's just how I work around myself or how I choose to act during that specific stage, or if we're using the play, how I'm acting during those specific acts. So is it kind of the same with you? You just keep them separated because you prefer to keep them separated? Because I know, and I'm sorry if this is getting confusing, but it's just because I prefer. It's just easy to manage, and I don't want these things to collide. I'm happy with them being separated. I'm happy with those aspects of my life being separated because they are because it just is what it is. I can't really tell you. It's just an
It is what
inward
it
thing
is.
for me. It is what it is. Yeah. So is it kind of the same for you? Is it just something you can't really explain? You just prefer to keep it separated?
I like you said, they're both different worlds. I don't want them
Mm,
to I still am me. I still am me in the end, but I prefer to keep them separated.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I said, wherever I go, I treat everyone the same.
Okay. All right. And I know, but like I said, with I said like different aspects of yourself, because we always try to summarize people like, oh, he's quiet or he's smart, but humans and like we as humans, we're complicated. We all have different We all have it's more complicated than just summarizing it to 3 words. You can do that, but that's not you're only scratching the surface of who that person is, you know?
Hmm.
So for you, I understand, you keep them separated. But do you kind of recognize that like I said, I know you're yourself, regardless of whether you're in esports or whether it's basketball or whether it's with your parents or just with friends in general. But do you feel that, you may act or present different aspects of yourself more so than with another group? And if that is the case, do you have like specific examples?
No, I still, like I said, I still am the Ricardo that everyone knows.
Hmm.
Quiet, a little bit talkative when you have a conversation going. And
Yeah.
I just am me in the end. I don't want to like have different personalities, you know?
Hmm.
I don't want to have like two faces, like good and bad. I just want to
Yeah.
keep to myself.
Gotcha.
Like
All
everyone
right.
wants
That's
to be their true selves.
mm, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Going, but like what I guess what I'm trying to say is when let me think of a trying to think of a I guess correct not correct example, but the best example I could give, is, let's say, so let's look at esports versus, with your parents. When you're with your parents, your tone may change in the sense that you're putting more respect towards them because
Mhm. Because I have
those
to
are your
keep it
parents.
quiet.
Yeah, you got to keep it respectable and almost in a more formal slash informal type manner. With your friends, you can be a little bit more informal, and there's still respect, but and I'm not gonna say it's higher or lower. It's just different, you know.
Because you get to like act like yourselves around them.
You get to act like yourselves. You get to act more good. You get to act more goofy. Because I act more goofy. Because again, using the high school example, I know I act goofy with you, and I act goofy with like it's not evident in the podcast. But I am more goofy, I guess, off recording, off camera and all that. But so when whether it's esports or whether it's friends or whether, regardless of what it is, what I know you mentioned you're shy. And actually, yeah, using your friends as an example, like before you met your esports teammates, you were maybe more shy.
I was very shy. Like
Yeah,
I had Nabil, for example. He would always, introduce me to other people. And
yeah,
he always had to nudge me just to, get to talk to them. And till this day I am very good friends with them.
gotcha. And yeah, so it's kind of a slow process, you go from being shy to being a little bit more open compared to with people you already know, where you're probably way more open. So I guess that's kind of what I mean by different aspects, not more so different personalities or different or being two-faced. It's kind of just it's you, but you're adjusting yourself
Hmm.
depending on the environment you're in. So I guess that's kind of what I guess that's kind of what I was trying to like say or mean. Like I said, this is a new
Sorry for
podcast.
confusing you.
Nah, you didn't confuse me, man. It's really just like I said, this is it's new. It's new. So we're still adjusting. We're adjusting now, even in this podcast. So there's that. But I mean, for you, what is one thing that you would kind of say to somebody that wanted to get into esports or wanted to be a professional gamer or heck, even a YouTuber, a Twitch streamer? Because those do revolve around gaming as well. And are those also, other avenues that you want to go down as well?
I would love to go through that avenue, but like I said, I need I need to have the right money for it in order and the right setup for it.
Yeah.
Um, for someone that wants to get into video game, I would say pick a game that you truly love. Find a competitive side for it. Talk to people online about it, and then eventually you'll find yourself in a team.
Yeah.
And the bad thing about it is that you have to be determined to play the game 24/7 and get better at it. Just like how
Mm,
everyone plays basketball, soccer, hockey, you have to you have to play it 24/7.
yeah. All right, man. All right. And if you had to kind of give the people like one last thing about esports or just gaming or even just the message to anybody like watching the podcast, like what would it be? Like what would be after watching the whole podcast, what is the key thing you would want them to kind of take away from in regards to this podcast?
Find yourself a job that you will never have to work again. Because if you love the job, then how can you call that how can you call that work?
Yeah, that is one thing. That's something my dad kind of grew up telling me, and I'm still trying to figure that one out too. I mean, obviously I love this podcast. It definitely allows me to learn more about different avenues and even learn more about people that, I might know, but you never really know everything about a person. So this is one thing that I'm happy that this podcast has been that's one thing I'm grateful to do, to be
Hmm.
able to host this podcast and learn more about people, their culture, their environment, and everything. Actually, speaking of the environment, I mean, you mentioned you talked about kind of you have like strict parents, but what was the environment like growing up for you?
I was in the house most of the times playing video games. That's how I kind of grew up to play video games all the time.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what was when did the love of basketball start too? Because that's also kind of, if I like when I think of you, I also think of like a basketball too. So like, when did that kind of spring up?
It kicked in 6th grade. I just saw my childhood friends play basketball, and the third day I kind of liked it, and I wanted to pursue it, and it was fun. It was fun. I got better at it in a year, and I'm teaching little kids little by little how to get better.
Gotcha, man. Well, I'm glad you're doing that right now, and I'm glad you're helping the youth now in the present. But as far as the future, what do you see your future looking like? Whether it's esports or whether it's something else, what are avenues that you kind of what other avenues you want to go down? I know you mentioned Twitch and YouTube, and these are things that you're definitely interested in. But you know, what other plans or what other desires do you kind of have for the future?
Some I'm not really. I'm undecided on a major right now, so I don't know what road goes on ahead. But I'm gonna
Hmm.
continue what I'm doing, and find something that works out for me in the future in the long road.
Okay. All right. Well, what's it called, Ricardo? Thank you so much for your time and thank you so much for being on the podcast. This has definitely been a great podcast, and I appreciate you for even taking the time out of your day to want to be on this podcast. It's
Thank
been a
you for having
pleasure,
me.
not a problem. So, thank you so much for being on it, and thank you everybody for watching. With that being said, we'll catch you later.